On this episode of Elevated and Unapologetic, I know that it's hard to sit in the loneliness. Micro habits are so vital. So many times I was not present in my life. Those people who want to put you in those places are scared of you. Hi, welcome back to Elevated and Unapologetic. I'm your host, Caitlin, and today we're going to talk about operating from survival mode and coming into a new season of life after you have chosen yourself. What does that look like? How does it feel? Maybe you are in a season of transformation and you are finally choosing yourself, and maybe you're in a season of survival and this is going to resonate, and maybe it will awaken something within yourself. Either way, grab a cup of coffee, have a little sit down, or while you're driving in your car, wherever you're listening to this. Thank you, by the way, for tuning in. Let's get started. Let's get chit-chatting. There was a season in my life where everything felt like I was just operating from survival mode. I was running a business. I was holding a household together. I was holding everything together. I was a wife. I was, a mom. I'm doing all the things, a daughter-in-law. I had so many labels on top of me. But what I think fell at the bottom of that list, if I even put it on there, was myself. I was not holding it together within myself. Does that make sense? Like, I did not have it together, baby. I might have put up a good front, but if you really asked me, no, I was barely keeping my head above water. And once I realized that I was operating from this space of survival, I finally was able to step into creating space for myself. I created new rituals slowly. I created new habits slowly. And these things started to build. This is something that I like to call micro habits. I know I've talked about it before, but if you're new here and you've never seen my face before, well, hi, thanks for being here. Micro habits are so vital and so important because they're so subtle, yet they're so impactful. Like saying, I'm going to have a bath once a week. I know that sounds like not a lot, but when you are a busy mom and you are, driving this truck and trying to avoid driving it off a cliff and it's going 1,000 miles an hour, those little moments that you get to just be on the brake is really nice. So I would tell myself, I'm going to take a bath once a week. I'm going to pamper myself and buy products that I actually want to enjoy for that one time a week. And slowly started to build on those little micro habits. I'm going to drink water every day because I know I feel better when I do. These things just started to build and become part of my life. They started to be incorporated as me living this way versus me surviving. I was thriving in the life that I was creating. This wasn't something that happened automatically or all at once. Like I said, this is something that I slowly started building in my marriage and started taking time for myself to pour into myself to become or be present in the people's lives that mattered to me the most. And once that started and that momentum started happening, I started to really feel differently. My nervous system was coming back into alignment a little bit. And I was able to see things clearer because I had taken that time to be with myself. I also remember having these moments where I would take stock of the life that I had built with this man that I loved so much and the life that we created. And I looked at it and I asked myself, is this something that I actually wanted, or is this just something I did because I was supposed to? And did I do it with intention? No. Did I build this life on purpose? No. I literally did it because it was for survival. I literally was in survival my whole life. Growing up in foster care and not having stability in my life, I built something that was going to be stable. And from the outside looking, like from an outsider's perspective, looking at that life that I built, it did look stable. It did look secure. It did look abundant and checking all the boxes that you did. The husband, the house, the kids, the stay-at-home mom who now is running a business. And I was literally living that dream that so many of us are given. We're just kind of shown these images of what you should want in your life. And when I looked at it, I started to really question everything. Like, why do I live where I live? Why did I pick the house that I chose? Why did I buy this couch? why did I choose this color paint? Like all of these things were just, I know it sounds silly, even saying it out loud, but I don't know if I built that life because I wanted it. I think I did it out of survival, out of the necessity of having something stable for once in my life. And I know that when you are running on survival mode, you are literally running yourself into the ground. You are running on empty, you're running on fumes, you're stressed out of your mind, and you still plant a smile on your face. But the last person, like I said, on that list to take care of is yourself. I know I said that part of my self-care or part of my coming home to myself was taking a bath, and I still do this ritual a couple times a week now. I think that it doesn't have to look that way for other people. I know that your thriving is going to look different because we're all unique and we all have different needs and desires. And for me, that simplicity of taking care of myself physically is so beautiful. And it's not hard at all. And I think we overcomplicate things when it's new and we've never done it before. The physical doing, the activity of taking care of oneself, I think is what I enjoy the most. And so I get to take care of myself physically, and that is the gift that I'm giving. It's not necessarily the products that I'm slathering all over myself that is giving me the result of thriving. It's the act of actually taking the time to sit with myself and take care of myself that I really enjoy. Also running. I'm a runner. I love running. I don't run and train to do any big races or marathons. I was actually just talking to a friend about this today. It's like, I see all these people and like, I love that for you. You want to go, you want to train, you want to get your best pace, and you love to be in that environment. I love that for you. And I think it's remarkable that these people can run for miles. But for me personally, running is a mental game for me. I like to see how far I can push myself. I like to coach myself. I like to talk to myself. I like to encourage myself. I like to be in tune with my flow of the pace and the run and the breathing. And it's an energy that I get to form for myself. That is also coming out of survival and into thriving, because when you're operating in survival mode, the last thing you're thinking about is taking care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Last on the list, if it even makes that list. Also, I want to say this because I think a lot of single parents are going to feel a certain way about choosing themselves. I want you to know that it's necessary. It's not selfish. You need to choose yourself in order to become the best version of yourself for your children, for your job, for your friendships, for your relationships, for your community. You choosing yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. I know that life is chaotic, and I know that the world we live in is built on the foundation of grinding, and we glorify these jobs that just drain our energy. And unfortunately, a lot of us are living in that right now. I'm aware of that. However, when you slow down, when you pause, when you put your phone down and take a walk outside and feel the sun on your skin and hear the birds and watch people enjoy their lives, or maybe you observe people who are just absent from the fact that they're walking in this beautiful park, you gain a whole new appreciation for what life truly means to you. Slowing down is also part of you thriving. It doesn't make sense to us because we've been taught to hustle and bustle and grind and chase all these dreams. And I'm not saying you can't have dreams. Have those dreams. Shoot for the stars. But slow down. Smell the flowers. Look at the mushrooms. Enjoy the squirrels. Listen to the birds. Have coffee with a friend and not be in a rush because you have a call. Not be in a rush because you have to go here and here and here. Actually enjoy. Your call will be there. You will be okay. But don't rush to the finish line. Tell yourself, be present in the hour that you get with a friend. Be present in the 15 minutes that you get to just sit in a park. I think it's not necessarily about carving out these giant chunks of time that we have to be taking care of ourselves. It's literally in those micro moments that we get to fully be present in our lives for us, the lives that we are building and the lives that we are enjoying. And I think when we slow down, it's such a gift that we're able to be present. So many times I was not present in my life. When I reflect on being a mom and having these tiny little babies and I'm holding them, I remember knowing that this was going to pass me by, but because I was in survival mode, what parent is not? You're not sleeping, you're, breastfeeding and you're running around and you're changing diapers and you're cleaning up vomit and, your baby gets sick. And then there's a whole other level of like crazy scariness because you don't know what's going to happen to this tiny little being. And it's those quiet moments that you have with that tiny, tiny little child, that ooey gooey little baby, that you're just like, what a gift. And those moments are so fleeting, but I know that if I sit quietly, I can remember these moments that I had with my children, that I actually slowed down and I touched their little faces and I was able to relish in the moment of being a parent. They're very small and few and in between because I was like running on empty, right? I'm so grateful that I was already on that journey of coming out of survival and into thriving at that time, because I was able to really mark those memories in my brain. And what a gift. Like I get teary-eyed thinking about their tiny little squishy faces and their little tiny feet and just like all these little memories that come back as a parent. Like how good is that to have? Those are the moments that we cherish, and those are ours, only ours, that we get to keep for ourselves. But you only notice that when you slow down and pause. There are so many lessons that we learn in this life, and we only get one. And I really do feel like it's this big old book of lessons. However, there are so many beautiful lessons that I have learned through this journey of slowing down and choosing myself, coming out of survival mode. It taught me that me being in my solitude, me being alone, is a gift. It is a sacred space that I hold for myself. How many of our grandparents can say that they had a season of being with themselves? Not many of them, because they were told to get married. They were rushed into this marriage at an early age. They were with that partner for so long, 50, 60 years, and then that's it. They never got to be alone. I know that it's hard to sit in the loneliness. I know it's hard to sit in the aloneness. However, when we really sit and appreciate the quiet, appreciate the space that we get to create for ourselves and what feels good for us, we learn so much about what we're willing to accept, what we're willing to allow in, what is for us and what is not for us. We learn to trust ourselves. We learn to be in tune with ourselves. Therefore, cultivating and calling in aligned people who want the best for us, people who genuinely love us. But when we are coming from a place of survival, we are willing to settle for breadcrumbs. We're willing to settle for less than we deserve because we don't know what we deserve, because we haven't had time to sit by ourselves. We haven't sat in that uncomfiness of being alone. That loneliness can be really, really hard, but I promise you there's so much good, beautiful lessons that are coming from that. I know that the peace can feel really boring at first because you've been living in chaos for so long. If you grew up in a chaotic household and then you moved into a chaotic relationship that is like reflective of where you've been, so now you're consistently staying in that fight or flight survival mode, when you leave that situation and go into isolation or aloneness or whatever you want to call it, it can feel painfully boring. The silence can be deafening, but this type of peace and this type of quietness is actually what saves your life. The most rewarding gift that I have taken away, most rewarding lesson I have taken away from this season of coming out of survival into thriving is recognizing that I am capable of rebuilding. I have rebuilt so many times before that, but because I went from chaos to chaos to chaos to chaos to chaos, I never had a moment of silence to sit in myself, reflect, and be like, wow, I did that and I did that. It's only been in this season that I've been single, alone, quiet, isolated, that I've been able to reflect my whole life, and see how much I've had to rebuild and pivot and learn and grow to become this version of myself. And I've gotten to hold myself through all of that. That's a pretty big gift to give yourself, don't you think? And I gotta tell you, the version of myself today, I'm fucking proud of her, because not only is she resilient and she is confident and she is brilliant and smart and wise beyond her years, but she knows exactly what she's worth. She knows exactly what she deserves, and she is not willing to settle and cram herself into places and spaces that she does not belong. If someone does not want her, if someone does not appreciate her, she sees herself out. Because I'm not afraid to be alone. I'm not afraid to sit in the silence. I'm not afraid to be by myself. And I think that is a really unshakably scary place to be, coming from someone who wants to put you there. Those people who want to put you in those places are scared of you because they know they can't put you there. And they'll say things like, you're going to die alone with a bunch of cats. Frankly, that sounds better than settling for what could be. When I see some of these relationships, I coach a lot of people, and when I see where they've come from, I would choose my solitude and my aloneness over whatever you just came from. And being in an unhealthy relationship with a man is far more dangerous than me having 6 cats. I don't have any cats, but if I had 6 of them, it would be a lot safer. All right, so as we are going to close this podcast episode today, it was really beautiful to share some of my memories and experiences with you, so thank you for tuning in today. I do want to close with a gentle reminder. I want you to breathe anytime that you feel like this is too much or you're asking yourself for too much, because you need to remember where you're going, where you're being led, where you're being called. I know it can be really, really difficult when you are so used to chaos and you are so used to being pulled in 17 different directions. Breathe into the fact that you have already survived your worst days. It wasn't your husband, it wasn't your wife, it wasn't your children, it wasn't your boss. It was you that survived your worst days. You deserve to give yourself the love and compassion and sit in that. Cheers to you from going from surviving to thriving. It's a beautiful journey. Please enjoy it. Thank you so much for being here. I love you, and I really hope that you have a great day. Do all the things, like, comment, share. You know the drill. Okay, I love you. Bye.